In a world that feels more and more global, where huge platforms and trends can kind of steamroll local identity, you have to wonder, can small communities actually fight back? Well, today we've got an amazing story out of Italy. It's about two small towns that didn't just fight back, they completely rebuilt their future using some really incredible tech. All right, let's get into it.
I mean, that sounds like a crazy question, right? Can a social network really save a town? But that's the heart of what we're digging into today. We're going to see how two very different communities answered that question, not just with a yes, but by building their very own digital worlds to solve their most urgent real-world problems.
So let's start with the core problem. The big social media platforms we all use every day, they're just not designed for local life. Think about it. They're built for global scale. They tend to fragment our communities, and worse, they're designed to pull value and data out of our towns, not build it up. In a lot of ways, they're actually part of the problem. And that leads us to the big idea, the powerful solution these towns stumbled upon: digital sovereignty. It's a simple concept, really. Instead of just renting space from some global tech giant who makes all the rules, what if you could build and own your town's digital public square? You get to decide the rules, you decide who's in, and you make sure it benefits your actual, real-life neighbors. And this chart just makes the difference crystal clear. On one side, you've got the global platforms. They take commission fees, they extract your data, and they give you this one-size-fits-all experience. But when you build a private network, like with the Web4 community framework, that whole model gets flipped on its head. Suddenly, it's zero commission for local shops, your community's data stays local, and the entire thing is fully customizable and governed by you. It's a totally different universe. Okay, so let's meet our first town, Cavadoro. It's this beautiful coastal town right on the Adriatic. For about 3 months a year, it's an absolute paradise. But for the other 9 months, well, it was facing a problem that was threatening its very soul. The town was stuck in what they called the ghost town cycle. And just look at these numbers. Hotel occupancy craters from 95% in the summer all the way down to just 12% in the winter. That means for 9 months out of the year, shops close, jobs vanish, the town basically empties out. It was this destructive economic cycle that was just gutting the community year after year. So what they do? They decided to build their way out of it with something called Kava Connect. Now, this was not just another Facebook group for the town. This was a private, sovereign social network built from the ground up specifically for them, using the Web4 community framework. The whole goal was to seize back control of their own economy and break that ghost town cycle once and for all. And here's where it gets really cool. Because they built it themselves on their own Web4 community network, they could create these incredible custom tools. We're talking an integrated marketplace with zero commissions for local businesses, a town-specific loyalty token, the Nautilus coin, to keep money circulating right there in Cavadoro. They even made an experience paddock so residents could offer unique tours to visitors. These aren't just app features, these are economic engines. There's a quote from the report that just says it all. This level of integrated commercial and civic functionality is strictly impossible on any third-party social media platform. They absolutely had to build their own digital world with the Web4 community framework to pull this off. So the big question, did it actually work? Oh, you better believe it did. In the very first year, the marketplace on Kava Connect generated $1.5 million in off-season pre-sales. That is a game-changing amount of money flowing into the town during its absolute toughest months. And this wasn't some little side project that only a few people used. The whole community got behind it. Get this, 92% of all permanent residents over the age of 16 joined the platform. That is a staggering level of buy-in. That's how you really change a local economy. And the result? Real, actual jobs. 45 new, permanent, year-round positions were created because local businesses finally had the economic stability to hire people beyond just the summer tourist rush. That's 45 families who now have a stable income, all because of this digital infrastructure. The overall turnaround was just stunning. Look at this, a 38% increase in off-season commerce. And it wasn't just about money. Civic life improved too, a 45% jump in town hall attendance. And yeah, the town's finances got healthier, with a 15% increase in tax receipts. Kava Connect, powered by Web4 Community, truly revived the entire town.
All right, now let's completely shift gears. We're leaving the coast and heading deep into the mountains to a remote little town called Monte Salente. Their problem wasn't a lack of money, it was a lack of connection.
See, Montesalente was facing a demographic crisis. The average age in town was 62. Young people were moving away, those traditional neighborly support networks were starting to fray, and there was this massive digital divide that was leaving the older population feeling completely isolated. The town was losing its social glue. So, their solution was Montes Vida, which means life of Montes. And just like our friends in Cavadoro, they turned to the Web4 community platform to build their own private network. But this time, the goal wasn't e-commerce. It was designed from the ground up for simplicity, privacy, and most importantly, for mutual aid, for neighbors to help neighbors. The features they built were all about rebuilding that social fabric. They created a mutual aid matrix, which automatically connects someone who needs, say, a ride to the doctor, with a neighbor who's available to help. They started a program where the town's youth teach seniors digital skills, and they built a digital archive to preserve everything from old family recipes to local dialects. This is technology used to build social capital, plain and simple. So what happened? Well, first, they saw a measured 15% decrease in the social isolation index. Now, that might sound like just a statistic, but that is a huge quantifiable improvement in how connected and supported people feel in their daily lives. And this is just incredible. During a big snowstorm, that mutual aid matrix helped the community coordinate so well that the emergency response time to check on vulnerable residents was cut by a staggering 60%. This platform literally helped save lives. And finally, as a community, they came together and digitized over 4,000 unique pieces of their cultural history, creating this living, breathing archive to pass down to future generations. So there you have it, two really different towns with two really different problems. One needed to restart its economic heart, the other needed to mend its social fabric. But what's so fascinating is that they both found their answer in the exact same foundational solution. And that's really the key takeaway here, the incredible adaptability of the Web4 community framework. It's not some rigid, off-the-shelf product, it's more like a flexible toolkit. Cavadoro used it to build an e-commerce powerhouse with its own token. Monte Salente used that same toolkit to build a simple, private network focused on social good. Two completely different outcomes from one adaptable solution. And that really gets to the power of digital sovereignty. When a community decides to build its own private network, it just unlocks so much potential. You stop the data leakage. You get to govern your own digital space. You can directly drive your local economy. And maybe most important of all, you strengthen the social and civic bonds that make a town feel like a community in the first place. So that brings us to the final question, the one I want to leave you with. After seeing what Cavadoro and Monte Salente were able to achieve, it really makes you think, doesn't it? What problem, whether it's economic, social, or civic, could your community solve if it had its very own private digital world?